Protests for a Gaza ceasefire and ending funding to Israel grew larger outside the Democratic National Convention on Wednesday. An uncommitted Iowa delegate, Newman Abuisa, was in amongst the pro-Palestinian protesters and says ending fighting in the Middle East should be a top priority for the Democrats.
I'm glad our candidate Kamala Harris boycotted the meeting of Benjamin Netanyahu for Congress. I'm glad that she had a press conference and talked about the Palestinian suffering. That is great. Those are great steps. But in the next few weeks, we need a ceasefire in the Middle East. We need a ceasefire to stop the killing of the children. And that will get my vote.
Facing growing pressure at home, Biden has made getting a ceasefire deal in Gaza a major priority. A senior U.S. official on Friday said a deal was within reach, but a final agreement has been agonizingly elusive. In a phone call Wednesday, Biden stressed to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu the urgent need to conclude a Gaza ceasefire for hostages deal. Biden also reportedly said talks in the coming days in Cairo between negotiators were crucial in removing any remaining obstacles. This came after State Secretary Antony Blinken ended his trip to the Middle East on Tuesday without an agreement between Israel and Hamas militants. In talks to halt fighting in the 10-month-old war, Hamas wants a complete Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. However, Israel wants to retain control of the so-called Philadelphia Corridor, where it uncovered several weapon smuggling tunnels after capturing it in late May. A White House statement said Biden and Netanyahu discussed U.S. efforts to support Israel against all threats from Iran, including its proxy terrorist groups Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. Iran has vowed retaliation over the killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, which it blames on Israel. Israel hasn't confirmed nor denied it was behind the killing.
This video posted online by Ukrainian special forces on Wednesday shows strikes on several pontoon crossings in Russia's Kursk region. Ukraine says it destroyed them using U.S.-made weapons. Reuters was able to confirm parts of the video from the river coast and terrain, which matched satellite imagery of the area. Kyiv has announced a string of battlefield successes since it unexpectedly crossed into the Kursk region earlier this month. But Russia claims its forces halted Kyiv's advance in the Kursk region and says it has gained ground in eastern Ukraine. The military is responding to the Russian push there, according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, by strengthening its forces around Pakrovsk. Drone video released Wednesday by the Ukrainian 68th Brigade showed artillery strikes on Russian troops east of Pakrovsk in Donetsk region. Both sides reported being targeted by major drone attacks. Ukraine smashed through the Russian border in the Kursk region on August 6th in an attempt to divert Russian troops from the rest of the front. Its foreign ministry says Kyiv has made bigger territorial gains there than Moscow has made in Ukraine this year.
The juntas of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger have written to the United Nations Security Council, denouncing Ukraine's alleged support for rebel groups in West Africa's Sahel region. That's according to a copy of their letter posted on social media. Mali cut diplomatic ties with Ukraine at the start of the month, with its neighbour Niger following suit days later over comments made by a spokesperson for Ukraine's military intelligence. The spokesperson said insurgents in Mali's north had received necessary information to conduct an attack in July. Tuareg rebels said they killed at least 84 mercenaries from Russia's Wagner group and 47 Malian soldiers over days of fierce fighting. That makes it potentially Wagner's heaviest defeat since stepping in 2 years ago after Mali pivoted away from traditional Western allies. Ukraine, meanwhile, remains locked in heavy fighting with Russia more than 2 years after Moscow's full-scale invasion. In their letter, the military-led countries asked the Security Council to take responsibility for Ukraine's actions and to prevent subversive acts that threaten regional and continental stability. Ukraine's foreign ministry did not immediately respond to requests for comment, though Ukraine has repeatedly called the junta's allegations groundless and untrue. A Tuareg rebel alliance has also said it did not receive any Ukrainian support.
Please welcome the Democratic nominee for Vice President, Governor Tim Walz. Vice presidential candidate Tim Walz led fellow Democrats in a political pep rally on Wednesday night at the Democratic National Convention. The former high school football coach turned Minnesota governor was little known to most Americans until 15 days ago, when Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris chose him as her running mate. Walz nodded to his meteoric rise to the Democratic ticket to cheers from the crowd in the Chicago Convention Hall.
You know, you might not know it, but I haven't given a lot of big speeches like this. But I have given a lot of pep talks.
Walz accepted his party's nomination for the number 2 job and laid out his game plan in plain terms.
Look, we got 76 days. That's nothing. There'll be time to sleep when you're dead. We're going to leave it on the field. That's how we'll keep moving forward. That's how we'll turn the page on Donald Trump. That's how we'll build a country where workers come first. Healthcare and housing are human rights. And the government stays the hell out of your bedroom.
Walz was accompanied on the third night of the DNC by a cast of prominent politicians and celebrities, including Stevie Wonder and a surprise appearance by Oprah Winfrey.
We're all Americans, and together, let's all choose Kamala Harris!
Wednesday's program also cast a spotlight on January 6, 2021. Delegates sat in silence while video showed Trump urging crowds that day to be strong and fight before his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol in an attempt to overturn the 2020 election. Democrat Nancy Pelosi, who was House Speaker on that day, portrayed her party as defenders of democracy.
Let us not forget who assaulted democracy on January 6th. He did. But let us not forget who saved democracy that day. We did.
Wednesday's program included an appearance by parents of an Israeli hostage taken by Palestinian Hamas militants in their October 7th attack on Israel. They took the stage to a standing ovation and chants of "Bring them home." Democratic President Joe Biden's support for Israel's assault on Hamas-ruled Gaza, which Palestinian health officials say has killed more than 40,000 people, is one of the most divisive issues in the party, but it has not featured prominently at the convention so far. Leaders of the Uncommitted National Movement, which mobilized nearly 750,000 voters during the primary elections to protest U.S. support for the war, said late on Wednesday that convention organizers had rejected their request to include a Palestinian speaker in the program.
5 Kenyan police officers were arraigned on Wednesday, court documents showed, accused of helping a suspected serial killer and 12 others break out of a Nairobi police station. Among those who escaped was Collins Jumaisi. He was arrested last month over the murder of at least 6 women, whose bodies were discovered wrapped in plastic bags in an old quarry now used as a rubbish dump. Police say Jumaisi admitted to killing 42 women, including his wife, though his lawyer told a court he was tortured into making a confession. Prosecutors deny he had been mistreated. The escape has worried local residents.
We aren't sure whether the claims are true or false. We don't know whether he used to collaborate with others. We are worried more now that schools are on holiday and our young girls are at home. And you find that sometimes we send our children for errands at night. We don't really know our fate because the quarry itself has not yet been backfilled. We are not okay. We are really worried.
According to Kenyan police, preliminary investigations indicated that insiders had aided Tuesday's escape. A police report said Jumaisi and 12 Eritrean nationals were discovered missing from their cell early in the morning. They were thought to have escaped by cutting through the wire mesh over the window in their cell. Police have launched a manhunt. On Wednesday, prosecutors asked the court to detain the accused policemen for 2 weeks. That's to allow officers to complete an investigation into their alleged involvement.
The world's largest copper producer is trying to give itself a green makeover. Chile's Codelco is focusing its efforts here, at the world's largest underground copper mine. It's in part a public relations push to amp up the firm's green credentials. But Codelco's CEO says something else is going on too. Green bona fides have become key for its customers. These electric buses used by workers are one part of the green facelift. There's also a push to recycle wheels and metal bolts. And Codelco is working with the government on a nursery and research center to produce native species, including cactus plants that are under threat. The hope is to regenerate areas damaged by tailing dams of waste mine material. The firm is battling to ramp up production and turn around a slide in output. But at the same time, CEO Ruben Alvarado says customers are demanding more traceability and sustainability of copper used in everything from electric cars to wind turbines. He points to a certification meant to reflect the sustainable credentials of mining firms.
Eso es crecientemente demandado. Y por eso que las certificaciones que nosotros tenemos las consideramos un activo fundamental. Por ejemplo, Copper Mark.
Still, some experts say the true environmental impact of Codelco's green push is unclear. Copper mining is water intensive. Waste tailings can contain heavy metals, and light pollution can disrupt mountainous areas renowned for clear night skies. But Patricia Munoz, an economist at the Mining Engineering Department of the University of Santiago, says the measures are a first step.
Yo creo que estamos todos en un proceso de aprendizaje, de saber qué cosas se pueden hacer y para poder ayudar a resolver esto. Quizás el aporte es marginal todavía, pero todas las cosas parten así. Pues. O a lo menos, primero, generar la preocupación. Segundo, ser acompañado con alguna legislación que lo aporte.
Trade tensions between China and the European Union rose once more on Wednesday. Beijing announced it would open an anti-subsidy probe into imported dairy products from the EU. It comes a day after Brussels published its revised tariff plan for China-made electric vehicles. The EU said Tuesday it would impose duties on imports of Chinese EVs to 36.3%, slightly down from initial plans. Beijing had called on Brussels to abandon the plans and vowed to take all necessary measures to protect the country's firms. China's anti-subsidy investigation of dairy will focus on various types of cheeses, milks and creams aimed for human consumption. Beijing said it would examine 20 subsidy schemes from across the EU. Ireland is by far the bloc's biggest exporter of dairy products to China, having sold $461 million worth of goods to the country last year. Data shows the EU was China's second largest source of dairy products in 2023. The EU exported $1.84 billion in dairy products to China last year, according to official data. China already launched an anti-dumping probe into imports of EU pork in June in retaliation against the EV tariffs.
Ford announced more cost-cutting measures on Wednesday as its EV unit continues to bleed. It's now scrapping plans for a 3-row electric SUV and pushing back a new electric version of the F-150, its best-selling pickup. Consumer concerns around pricing and charging infrastructure have slowed demand for EVs, prompting several automakers, including GM and Tesla, to delay or cancel new models or slash prices. Ford's near-term strategy will now shift to a focus on hybrids. The company will also double down on areas where it currently remains strong, pickup trucks and commercial vehicles. But EVs are still a long-term goal. Ford says its Ohio plant will start production on an electric commercial van in 2026. CEO Jim Farley has also said he's staking the company's future on a specialized team in California that's been developing an architecture for affordable EVs. The first vehicle based on that new technology will be a mid-size electric pickup released in 2027.
Crazy
photo shoot that Sydney Sweeney had to go through? Sydney Sweeney, a prominent Hollywood actress, has faced several tough circumstances in her career. One notable incident was a controversial photo shoot that drew backlash from the ballet community. The shoot featured Sweeney in pointe shoes, which led to widespread criticism after Canadian dancer and actor Brennan Clost posted a TikTok criticizing the styling and lack of dance experience. Clost pointed out the improper tying of the ribbons and questioned why non-dancers were chosen for such shoots. Ballet fans echoed these sentiments, deeming the shoot unsafe and insulting to those dedicated to ballet. The online criticism intensified, with fans expressing their dismay over Sweeney's involvement in the photo shoot. Comments ranged from concerns about safety to the perceived disrespect towards ballet dancers. Despite the uproar, Sweeney chose not to respond publicly to the controversy. Sweeney did, however, open up about a different challenging photo shoot experience. She recounted a lingerie campaign shoot where she felt unwell due to starting her period. Reluctant to use a tampon to avoid bloating, she became dizzy and nauseous. During the shoot, she eventually vomited, feeling embarrassed and overwhelmed. This difficult day was compounded by a personal conflict with a friend and harsh comments about her appearance on social media, leading her to break down in tears. Despite the ordeal, Sweeney reflected on the experience as a moment of growth. In another instance, Sweeney faced harsh criticism from film executive Carol Baum, who questioned her acting skills and appeal. Baum expressed her disbelief over Sweeney's popularity after watching her movie Anyone But You. Sweeney responded, expressing her displeasure over a woman attacking another woman and criticizing Baum's use of the attack as a teaching moment for her students. Throughout her career, Sweeney has encountered significant criticism, from her photo shoots to her acting. Yet, she has managed to navigate these challenges, choosing to learn and grow from these experiences rather than publicly engage in every controversy. Her ability to handle such situations speaks to her strength and professionalism in an often harsh industry.
ส่วนมากก็จะเป็นสื่อการเรียนการสอนเกี่ยวกับการพัฒนากล้ามเนื้อมือเพิ่มเป็น7 วันเนาะเดี๋ยวต่อไปจนถึงวันที่ไม่ใช่แค่ที่นอนนะคะทั้งสื่อการสอนโต๊ะที่เด็กใช้เรียน
ทำอาหารกินบะหมี่แล้วขาดเครื่องดูสภาพตั้ง
ไหลลงไปพื้นที่ด้านล่าง